Hi guys, welcome to WikiTree's Friday Bingo. This is our first bingo. Today we'll have another one at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, but this one I am so excited about. We have David Randall with the Notables Project here, and as promised, we have an extremely big announcement to make. And we're going to get to that in about 2 seconds. But we also have Leah from the Ty Cobb Museum that's going to help us with this special announcement as well. So, David, why don't I just play the video and we'll see what people think?
Yep.
Okay, guys, if you're ready, here we go. Big announcement time from WikiTree. And that's it, guys. Guess what? David Randall is going to start the Sports Notable Project on WikiTree. So this means you pick a sport, David's got you covered, right?
And we are actually going to start the sports project today.
And with baseball, right?
Starting with baseball. So let me give you a little bit of background and then explain what this is all about. Because this is going to be set up a little bit different maybe than some of our other projects. But I don't know if people realize this, but for the longest time, the Notables Project was run by one person. It was a one-man show. That's Scott Fulkerson, and he's done an amazing job. But his primary job has been to um, basically monitor the living notables. That's really what the Notables Project spends most of its time doing, is responding to emails, opening up profiles, etc. That's a full-time job for him. And about 6 months ago, at the beginning of the year, he asked me to come on to see if we could come up with some ideas on how to make the Notables Project more interactive for the community. A lot of people sign up for the project and then they're kind of left on their own to just do whatever they want. So we are going to start, not only are we going to create a sports project, but we have several other projects in the works that will all be run under the management of the Notables Project. But we're starting with sports today. And Sandy, I don't know if you can pull up the sports page. But basically, here's how it's going to work. We have a page for the sports project. And we have currently, we're waiting for it to pop up, but we currently have about 30 sports listed. Each sport is going to be assigned a coordinator. So if you're interested in becoming active with this project and you have a particular sport you're interested in, let me know and we'll see what we can do. But each site will have a coordinator, which we are going to refer to as our commissioners. There's the sports page now that she's just pulled up. And Sandy, if you could scroll down a little bit to the list so that people can see what we're referring to here. So here we have links to right now, I believe there's 30 different sports. They don't all have active links. I think we have 4 active links right now: baseball, hockey, boxing, and motorsports. Just because those are ones that we had people interested in. But eventually, we're going to have links to all of these sports. And if you click on one, for example, Sandy, if you'll click on baseball, take them right up there.
Where I was headed. I was headed towards hockey there.
Yeah, I know. Oh, and our biggest announcement is that Sandy has agreed to be our hockey commissioner. So Sandy will be overseeing the hockey project.
And I
But we're
am
starting.
making rule changes, people, to hockey. So watch out.
But we're starting with baseball today, in honor of our special guest from the Ty Cobb Museum. So here's basically our baseball page, and this is primarily the 2 pages you've seen, the sports page and the baseball page here, are basically links pages. Um, these are not actual projects themselves as far as activity goes, but at the bottom of the page, we will. Well, Well, we'll come back because I want to show the pictures here, but let's go down all the way to the bottom since I'm on
Okay.
that topic right now. You'll see a couple links down here, and hopefully this will grow. Right now, we're starting with baseball legends, and again, Sandy, if you'll click that page, this is the challenge that I'm going to be posting on G2G today, and basically, we've listed. I think I have 40 legendary baseball players here, and we're asking people to simply work on improving the profiles. It's not specifically a connection project, but you will see that there are a number of players who are not connected to the big tree. So if we can get them connected, that would be great. Many of them are connected, but that doesn't mean that their profiles are where they need to be. And the goal of this project is to get in and fix these sports pages up so that they're really attractive, that they read well. Um, a lot of them, unfortunately, seem to be cut and pasted from Wikipedia. We don't want that. We want to have our own language in there. And we also, well, it's important to note their sports accomplishments. It's a genealogical site, so we want to get the genealogy in there. And as you read through the vast majority of these profiles, you'll see that most of them at this point focus strictly on their baseball careers. And that's not really what WikiTree is supposed to be all about. It's like as I said, it's a genealogy site. So if we can get in and start looking for census records and vital statistics and those kinds of things and get those in as well, some of them have a lot of the information, but it's kind of uh, sentence fragments, I guess you'd call it. Not so much a narrative. So that's another thing that we want to try to do is get these profiles readable. But we're leaving it very open ended. When you click on a player, you go to their profile, and we leave it up to you to see what kind of work needs to be done. If you're into connecting, that's great. You can see right here we've got two, Roger Maris and Bob Gibson, who are not connected. You'll see all the way to the right there it says unconnected. If the box is white and blank, that means that they're already connected. So there you see Don Drysdale and Frank Robinson are both connected, but they don't have. I'm pretty certain from my recollection, Don Drysdale was a pretty
Dries up.
underdeveloped
True.
profile. And you'd be surprised, some of the greatest names have really limited profiles. So there's a lot of work to be done. Um, and we're going to do that. We're going to spread that to each of the sports. We're starting with baseball. Sandy's going to get hockey up. We have somebody working on football. Um, if there's a sport that somebody wants to take a leadership role in, let us know and we can get that going. We'll pretty much let the members decide what sports we focus on first, and it's going to be based on public interest. But eventually, we'll get all of the sports up there. Um, so this will be a site. This is not a challenge. This is an actual project. So that means this is going to be up here permanently. So at any time, if you get a whim that you want to work on a particular sport, you head on over here and be up here ready for you to go. And again, if you want to do just a mini project, we have people that want to do a particular team, even a team for a particular year. We've got people doing Hall of Fame. We've got people doing or have expressed interest in doing Hall of Fame. We've got people who have expressed interest in, um, doing larger projects where we cover an entire sport, and that's fine too. So whatever members are interested, that's where we're going to take this project. Right?
And this is not ever going to be complete. Just so everybody
No,
knows,
never.
there is not a completion date. So don't feel like you got to get the whole team or the whole round of baseball. Let me just take hockey for a second. It's global. So it's not just U.S. centric. This is global that we're talking about, and this is why I said, David, are you ready for the next 10 years? Because this is a huge project. It's globally, and we're going to need our global genealogists and our global people to come in and help with it. So even though I might be taking a lead on the hockey, I can't do it all myself. And the same for the other ones. We need help. You don't have to necessarily have an interest in the sport. If you do, it helps. But if you just like a certain player, maybe you grew up watching them on your TV. Maybe your dad or your brothers liked a certain baseball player and you thought, well, let me go ahead and improve them. So it's that type of thing. This isn't a competition. This isn't a thon. David's going
It's a
to put up
permanent project.
monthly ideas, monthly challenges just to give you an idea that, hey, we need help with this area. But you can work anywhere, everywhere with every sport. Pick 5, pick 20, pick one, pick a team, pick a player, start there. And I'm glad that you mentioned also that WikiTree is also about including more than just their sports, because we're going to bring in the Ty Cobb Museum in just a moment. And we know that Ty Cobb is one of the best baseball players ever, but we don't know much about him off the field, off the baseball diamond. So we're going to talk about that as well to help understand how to complete a profile for a sports notable.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
And
we
now,
will be working. Our project coordinators will be working with people to, for those that are newer and maybe haven't worked on a lot of notable profiles, to talk about what we actually are looking for. We don't want to be just another Wikipedia.
yeah.
We are not just an encyclopedia. We are a genealogy site. So when people come and click on Ty Cobb, they want to hear about his family. They want to hear about his childhood. They want to hear what happened beyond. They can go anywhere to find out who Ty Cobb, the baseball player, was. So
But
that's important.
we want to show everything. And I want to mention real quick that David is going to exit and hang out in the chat. David, you have so many questions already that you're gonna
Right. Okay, I don't have my
he's
chat
gonna
open right at the moment,
yeah,
but
he's gonna
I'll
hang
try to
out in
get them
the
all
chat
answered.
so we can
Uh,
bring in Leah from the Ty Cobb. And I can see the very first one of talking about transfer. There's not really a transfer. I think it's probably more a category thing, but I'll let you answer that. And
okay.
congratulations. This is a
Okay.
really, really
Well,
big deal,
okay.
guys. And David,
Let me just say
David Brainchild.
one quick thing.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, as soon as this session is over, I have to head to a doctor's appointment, so I will not be opening this project immediately. Um, but I will have it up today by the end of the day. When I get home, I will open up all the links and I'll post a G2G post announcing it. But yeah, unfortunately, the schedule got a little bit jammed up today, so it'll be a little delayed, but it will be up today.
And there's the link. Just keep it handy and check back before you go to sleep tonight for that. And if you have an interest in knowledge, really, if you do have interest and the knowledge in a particular sport that's listed, maybe not listed, reach out to David and he can let you know
Yeah, if you have
what
a
to do
sport
from
that's
there.
not listed, we can list it. So I listed 30 sports. That's what I could come up with, but I'm sure there's more that, if somebody's interested, don't feel that you're limited just to what we have up there.
Okay. Well, thanks, David. Thanks for the big announcement. This is like our
All
very
right.
first bingo big WikiTree announcement. So thanks for
Yeah.
bringing it. And I will tell everybody
Okay.
you don't want to miss bingo because I already know that David's coming back twice next month
In a
with
couple of weeks.
big news. If you thought this was big, wait till you hear what's going on. Okay. Thanks, David. I appreciate it.
Okay. All
David's
right.
going to
And
answer
I'll
your
start
questions in
answering
the chat.
questions now. Please hold on. There's a lot of them here, but I'll
Yeah,
try to get to
next
everybody.
question. Okay, guys, and then let me introduce our very, very special guest. I am so excited to introduce Leah from the Ty Cobb Museum. So, welcome to WikiTree, Leah. Thank you
Yes, thank
so
you.
much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, explain the bats behind you.
Well, the bats behind us are a part of the museum. It is a display, but it's also an opportunity for you to have your name in the museum from now on. Um, so people can the bats are 100 events throughout Ty's life and his playing career, and they're available for sponsorship. So people have bought them in honor of someone, in memory of someone, or just as a baseball fan passing through and wanted to be part of the museum. And this is a good way uh, to do that. So if someone wanted to purchase one, I have the list available of bats, and they would pick one, and the purchaser receives a bat
Oh, really?
as
That's
well
great.
as one going into the museum.
That's
So,
really cool.
anyone could reach out to me here at the museum to get more information on that.
And I have dropped the link to the museum page, and Leah was telling me that there is a slight technical difficulty with the page. The IT people are definitely looking at it and checking it out. But I just wanted to show you a little bit up close. So this is kind of up close with the bats, and you can kind of see here that they're engraved with something that is related to Ty's career. Right? Did I get that right?
Right. Well, some of them are just other life events or maybe awards that he received. Some of them were even after his death. He received an honor.
So this is pretty interesting. Now I will tell you guys that I have been there. I actually, for the first time, and I don't know why this was my first time, because I have been to Royston, Georgia, where the Ty Cobb Museum is. It's in Northeast Atlanta, and we were talking. You said about 85 miles from
Right.
Atlanta. Just right around the corner from Spartanburg, not South Carolina, not far. So we are talking, by the way, you know me, we are talking about Appalachia as well. This is in the North Georgia part of Appalachia. Very cool museum. And I think what I love best, besides I really do love your gift shop, I'm not gonna lie, I can sit in the gift shop for a while, is the movie as well. You have a movie about his life.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those museums that you go to, and to actually see a ball with his handwriting, to see a glove, from the baseball player. And Ty Cobb is one of the best baseball players that you can ever know about. And we're going to talk about this with bingo, the second bingo card, a little bit. But if for anybody who knows baseball, and for those of you that only know a little bit about baseball, I'm positive everybody's heard of Babe Ruth. Almost everybody hears of Babe. Did you know that Ty Cobb got more votes to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame than Babe Ruth? Same year, too. They were both in the same year. So that tells you a little bit, not only about Ty's career, his work ethic for baseball, but also how much that people liked him and respected him for himself, but also for his baseball career. So it's really exciting. And again, I want to thank you for joining us, because this Sports Notable and WikiTree is large, and we knew we wanted to start with baseball. And being a Georgia girl, who else am I going to start with but Ty? And for those that don't know, Ty is also known as the Georgia Peach. So let's go ahead and bring up your bingo cards, everybody. We are going to talk about that for I'll talk a little bit for just a minute, excuse me, before we bring up your bingo card. Lots of comments. You guys are like lots and lots of comments. So this is interesting, Leah. As a non-American, Babe Ruth is probably the only single name I know. Well, now you got two names. Ty beat him in votes for the Hall of Fame. So that's pretty cool. And I do want to mention too, that a lot of you have heard of Hall of Fames. David even was talking about Hall of Fames. You pick a sport, there's a Hall of Fame for it, and chances are there's a Hall of Fame for it locally, countrywide, and international. So we know that the Baseball Hall of Fame is in Cooperstown. But did you know that a lot of the important figures in baseball also have their own museum, such as Ty Cobb? And we were talking, I guess it's been about 3 weeks now, that Shoeless Joe Jackson around the corner has one. And there's another one right near you.
Johnny Mize.
That's right. And I don't know if everybody's know this, but when you go traveling, or if you're visiting, or just driving by, look and see. If you're into baseball, if you're into sports, look and see, because these museums, these smaller ones, are gems. They are really special. It's not like going to the larger museums you might think of as your main towns or the Smithsonian or something like that. These are ones where you can really get up close and intimate with the player. And like Leah, ask many questions and get answers if you're curious or anything's going on. Okay, let's bring up the first bingo card. Everybody ready? And then the second bingo card, full of facts. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Ty behind the scenes, what he also did besides baseball. So if you're ready for bingo, let me make sure I got my first one up. Bingo 1. And full screen. Okay, this is how you play bingo for those of you that are new, or refresher for those of you that are coming back to our bingo game. To get bingo, you can use your mouse, you click on it. So there's a picture of a baseball on this particular one. Go ahead in the middle of your screen. Go ahead and click on that now. That's the free space. And what you want to do is when I call the word out, you're going to click on it. The first person who gets either diagonal, vertical, horizontal, all spaces filled out, has to be the first person to type bingo in the chat, and make sure I hear it as well, because sometimes I get talking. But the first person who actually wins bingo and types it in the chat is the person who wins the prize today for our first bingo card. If you have won in the past 6 months, you cannot win again. If you've got a question about that, let me know and I can look at it. Okay, everybody ready? Let's go. And Leah, we started off with just some general baseball kind of terms because I knew that we would have a global presence here. And as we've seen, Babe Ruth is probably the name that most people know globally easily. So player is pretty easy to understand. Player is who the person playing the game. Many different types of positions they can play. What positions did Ty play?
Center field, and he played some shortstop, but the bulk was center field.
And I will also mention too, Stephen, glad to see you made it in. Do not close. If somebody says bingo, do not close your card yet, because sometimes people that win bingo have either won before, they like playing around, or they will say, keep playing because they would like to give their prize away. Okay. Shortstop's a tough one too. A visitor. So the visitor is kind of different than what most people are thinking. It's not somebody coming to your house saying, hey, here I am knocking on the door. Visitor is the other team. So you have a home team and a visitor team. Outfield. And the outfield really truly is what it is. If you can picture the baseball diamond, it's the field that's way out there. And I love seeing the fly balls go and them running to the outfield to catch it. I was telling Leah that we went to a minor league game last night, and we're actually going back tomorrow. But I forgot to tell you that we saw a grand slam last night, which was kind of cool. Let me put that in. Okay, for those of you that came late, do you need your bingo card? Did you get it? We had player, visitor, outfield. Okay, moving on, guys. Team. They're called a team. How many baseball players are on a team? Well, I've got my husband around the corner telling me 9. 9 on the field. Okay, a mitt. In Ty Cobb Museum that's his mitt that you have in the museum, right?
Yes, that's correct.
How did you get some of the items from the museum?
Most of the items in the museum came from his family members and their private collection. Some came from some other individuals, and we still acquire things even to this day from fans that maybe have acquired items over the years, and they don't have family members to pass them down to, and they just feel like that they belong in the museum so that other people are able to view them when they visit here.
That's got to be an awesome surprise when
It is. It is.
A fan. That would be me. And I'm wearing my baseball jersey today. That would be me. I'm in the stands. I'm cheering. I might jeer sometimes. I won't say a boo. I will tell you, too, that I originally grew up watching the Baltimore Orioles. That's where I was from, up in Maryland. And if the other team, got a home run and the ball came into the stands, you threw it back. You threw it back on the field. So that's kind of what I think of Jeer. Oh, here's a good question. This is a very good question. Is there a difference between a baseball mitt and a baseball glove? I would say they're about the same thing. I think it's just how people describe them.
It may have been the construction of them. I think the mitt may have had bigger places to put your fingers. But it's probably just the construction of them and how they've changed over the years.
And ball, the baseball, white ball, red stitching. I don't. I know that there have been baseballs too where either the color came off or they're not a color red stitching. That's kind of more old time, but all the ones recently in modern times, I think all have red stitching to them as well. Oh, there we go. The main difference in the mitts, is gloves, the fingers. So, yep. What kind of wood is used for baseball bats? It's a great question. And a lot of times though, now they're not using wood. Are they? Or is wood still required?
Wood is all they can use in the majors.
I think the majors, but I don't know if they can use in the minor leagues. But college can use non-wood, and the little leagues can use non-wood as well. And I agree, Amy, that we call them catcher's mitts as well. I think probably outfielder's glove. I can't remember. I grew up on baseball. There we go. I grew up on baseball because my two brothers played baseball since I think they were 2 years old. I mean, they loved baseball. Mom would always drag me along with to practice and everything. So baseball was always an event for us. It was 3 times a week that you went, and baseball season's long. Baseball, and I don't know if you guys ever go to a major league baseball and some minor leagues too. I know that a lot of times during the weekend games that are day games, they will let you run the bases with your kids. I did that with my son when he was younger in Atlanta. It is hot. I don't know how they stand out there in that heat. It is hot. Okay, dugout. Dugout is where they sit when they're waiting to either go back on the field or getting ready to go up to bat. And popcorn. I will say Cracker Jacks. If you've been to a baseball game and haven't had Cracker Jacks, you got to go back to the baseball game and have Cracker Jacks because that's just part of it. And popcorn to me, they have plain popcorn or buttered popcorn like the movie theaters, but Cracker Jacks. I'll let you all know that Mike is in the chat. So if you have the general questions that I do not know, like Carol wanted to know, when did they switch to aluminum? Mike can probably answer that for you. I think Little League in college do aluminum, but the majors still do the wood. Okay, safe. So safe is when a player has to go and touch the white bag on the diamond. And if they touch the place and the umpire says safe, that means they are good to go and they are not out. They can stay on the field and continue play. Okay, so we had a QD and bat. And we talked a lot about bats already. So let me just get my expert on the other side of my screen here. So major leagues are wood. Minor leagues are wood. College has the ability to use aluminum. And your little leagues can use either as well. Okay, so now, David, you're going to have to let me know. The Cracker Jack prizes are not nearly as exciting as when I was a kid. I remember the Cracker Jack used to have a prize and also a little piece of paper or something like that. I'm waiting for anybody that might have. This is great. There's my partner in crime, Eowyn. Hey, batter, 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 batter. That is a common thing that we do, and that would be what I consider a jeer. Okay, we have a couple bingos, Leah, but they say keep playing, so that's why I'm pausing here. The chat is like Leah's on her phone, so she's not seeing the chat, but the chat is like you all are very chatty today. Okay, and then the Cracker Jacks was a big conversation too. Okay, so Carol's like I used a wood bat when I played Little League, and I can tell you that when you hit with a wood bat, it's a totally different sound, and when you hit with the aluminum, you kind of get that tink tink going on. Okay, so everybody's still good. Anybody close to getting bingo? Clap. This is pretty easy. You clap when your team does well. We were clapping a lot last night. So in the fourth inning, we had a walk, a steal, and a grand slam. So it was pretty cool. Also, we have do we have any softball players in here in the chat too? I didn't think of that. Okay, first that's a base. Everybody, I got a few people that are close. So first base, and that's what when you hit at bat, that's the first place you go to. Lose, you lost the game. Do we have a bingo?
Amy came in first.
Amy. There we go. So we got a bingo. Congratulations, Amy. Wow. We've got a lot of bingos. Okay, so guys, let me just double check this. Let me bring Leah back up on the screen. Let's just double check this real quick. Okay, so Stephen, you missed out. You missed out by like 10 seconds. Wow. Amy, we had 3 or 4 bingos here, so this is pretty cool. Okay, so Amy, what you're going to do for your bingo is you are going to email Eowyn, and she's going to let you know how to claim your WikiTree prize. And just because I have it handy, keep in mind the bingo mug is the #1 bestseller that we have here. So email Eowyn, and she will get you all hooked up for that. Okay, let's talk about Ty. Let's talk a little bit about him. So we're going to bring up the second bingo card in a few moments that has some of his stats, but who was he as a person?
Well, he was born in the late 1800s in 1886, and he was actually not born here in Royston where the museum is, but it was just over the next county line. But they moved here when he was a young child. This is where he learned to play baseball, playing on a little town team. And then this is also where he left from to play professionally, both in Detroit and then his last 2 years in Philadelphia with what was then the Philadelphia Athletics. And of course, we know now they are in California. But his records on the field and as a baseball player are unparalleled. But he had some great accomplishments off the field too that are still impacting people in this community, in this state, and then around the country as well. He started an education foundation. Not many people know that.
No, I didn't.
That started in 1953. Ty did not have the opportunity to go to college. His father was the superintendent of schools here in this county, and he very much wanted his son to go to college, wanted him to become a doctor or a lawyer, but he said, "Dad, I really want to play professional baseball." And much to his dad's disappointment, he finally did relent and agree to let his son go and pursue this. And he in fact told him, "Go and get it out of your system." And then, he felt like he would eventually come back and maybe choose one of those careers. But anyway, Ty wanted to have an opportunity, or wanted each student that wanted to pursue college, he wanted them to have the opportunity to go regardless of their financial status. And so that started in 1953, as I mentioned. We don't even know the exact amount that Ty gave to start that foundation, but it was a significant amount of his estate. And his estate continued to feed that. But to date, it has given very, very close to $20 million in scholarship funds
Oh my gosh.
to Georgia students that demonstrated a financial need. So we have a display in the museum that pays tribute to that education foundation. It lists a lot of names of the scholarship recipients, as well as places that they went to college. Then the second greatest thing that he did off the field was the Ty Cobb Hospital. He built that. One of his teammates, when he was on his first little baseball team, the Royston Reds, became a physician, and they remained close friends throughout their lives. So they got together and came up with plans for a hospital here. And it was a little 24-bed hospital. It was located just across the street from the museum, but it became what was known as the Ty Cobb healthcare system. Many other entities were born from that little 24-bed hospital, and just about everything that came from the hospital is still in existence today. We have assisted living and some senior living apartments, and medical equipment business, and dialysis, just various things, and various physicians' offices that also came about as a result of the Ty Cobb healthcare system, and grew from that little 24-bed hospital. So
it sounded like he really wanted to also give back to his hometown.
Right, to his community. So the Dr. Brown that I mentioned, that was his teammate, his home was actually one of the places that was used as a hospital before the actual hospital was built.
So he's like, we have a need. I have money.
Right.
And I think this might be a good time. We'll talk about it again, but we might as well talk about it now. I think this would be a good time to let everybody know that baseball players back then, didn't make a whole lot of money. We've got some stats that we'll bring up on the second baseball card, and I've already dropped the link for the second baseball card in the chat. But I've read baseball books, and I've read hockey and football books about the olden times, I guess I should say, and a lot of these players, when they weren't playing, they had to go get a job because it wasn't a lot of money that they made.
Right.
And Ty played for Detroit, pretty much most of his career.
Right.
And you gave a stat right before we came online that I thought was really interesting. So he was a very wealthy gentleman.
Yes, he was.
And since he played in Detroit, he invested in General Motors at the time.
Right. That and in the early days of Coca-Cola. So those investments allowed him to become the first millionaire in baseball, but it didn't have anything to do with his baseball salary. And just for instance, when he went to Detroit, they purchased his contract for $750. So, and we're just a few days away from the first year player draft in Major League Baseball. It begins on Sunday, and so if you look by comparison, the first player that's picked will be an instant millionaire.
Can you imagine? And Ty, we're talking about one of the greatest baseball. He has records that will never be beat,
never be broken.
They just won't be. And the first person who's picked, this weekend will be a millionaire and completely, probably multi, but we'll go on the low side.
Yes.
And here's Ty. It just blows my mind that the dedication of the sports players generations ago, They were in it not for the money.
That's right. But for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a good time. I think I have a really a good quote from him as well that a couple of them. The crowd makes the ball game. I love
Right.
that because as a fan, you want to know that they hear us, that we're there for them as well.
Right.
But here's the quote. So the great trouble with baseball today is that most of the players are in the game for money, and that's it. Not for the love of it, the excitement of it, or the thrill of it. Ty Cobb's been gone for quite many years, so this is not a recent quote,
Yeah.
and it hits home. It was to this day, it really does.
Right.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions about baseball, about the museum, about Ty, let us know. But we're going to also play the second bingo game that has a tremendous amount of stats. So I'm going to start the bingo game now. I'm going to drop the card link one more time because this is where we're going to get into Ty's baseball career. So let me go ahead and switch over to the second card here. Let me see. Yep, second card here again. If you're joining late or just a refresher, to get bingo, you need to get all in a row diagonally, horizontally, vertically. You'll see Ty's picture in the free space. Go ahead and click that with your mouse now. And that's pretty much all you have to do. If you do click a space incorrectly, just go ahead and re-click it and it'll remove that little blatch that are there. And I love this. Lots of numbers, and it does remind me. I was sitting at the baseball game last night, and I was sitting there with my husband. We were talking and looking up at the screen at the stats, and we'd already looked at Ty's stats, and Ty's stats. I don't ever think they'll be broken, but it was interesting looking at it and realizing, wow, baseball is a lot of math, and unfortunately, my least favorite math statistics.
Right.
As we go through. Okay, guys. So the first person who wins bingo is who gets the horizontal, vertically, or diagonally all the way across, and also says bingo in the chat. For those of you that are playing, never ever shut down your card until we confirm the person that called bingo does in fact want to play bingo. Okay, I have my cheat sheet too, but I bet you, Leah, you have this stuff memorized. But I have my cheat sheet too because this is a lot of numbers that we're going to go through. Some of you are baseball fans. You can probably guess what they are. So early investor, we did talk about that. A very early investor in Coca-Cola and General Motors. And can you imagine getting in on the ground floor when, cars were becoming a bigger event, that highways and interstates were being built, needed those cars. So he got in good time. And Coca-Cola, well, enough said.
Right.
So this is really how he made his money. He was extremely rich at the time of his death. Okay, the greatest man he knew. I thought this was interesting because I have been to the museum, and very prominently you have pictures of his parents. Almost immediately, as soon as you come in, you've got all this wall of bats to the left, and then to the right, you have the pictures of parents. And his dad, he considered his dad the greatest man he knew.
Right. Yes, he wanted to please him in every way. And he did lose his father to a very unfortunate accidental death when he was 18. He had just started his career in Detroit, and I really feel like that's what fueled a lot of his aggression on the field. I mean, he put it all on the field, and he really wanted to please his father, and his father never got to see him play professionally. So yeah, that single event, I think, impacted his life probably more than any other.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
And read his bio as well. I will give you that link too. We're going to show you his WikiTree bio, but it does have information about that as well. So RBIs, that's called runs batted in. And let me get my cheat sheet. So he had 1,961 runs batted in his career. And for those of you that might not know baseball, if there are players out on the field and ties up at bat and he hits and he's able to at least get a base that would forward the players on the field to home. Once they pass home, Ty gets credit for a run batted in. 23 consecutive seasons. Now, this one was a stat. Let's see. Let me look at my cheat sheet here, guys. So we talked about this before we started. This is just a crazy stat. So he batted at least 300, at least. Most time it was over that in 23 consecutive seasons. There's a comment. I think this was the comment that I was making, that if anybody knows baseball, Cal Ripken from the Orioles got the Iron Man award, and that will probably never be broken as much as this record. I don't see it ever broken. Do you, Leah? I don't.
I don't. That or his batting average.
Yeah. And the thing that we were kind of talking about too with this is that if you look at a baseball game, you can go anywhere and pick up stats. We were talking, most people are batting about 0.2, in the twos, 7, 30 to 7, something like that. Maybe 7 would be high point. So it's not going to be broken. I don't see it. And this is another reason that makes him a really.
Yeah, we're almost 100 years past the time that he was in a game. And I think, not to spoil it, that's one of your bingo squares is his last game. So we're almost 100 years past that, and his average still stands. So
his last game was September 11th, 1928. And it's just never going to be broken. It's just as simple. It's hard to fathom, though, for me, because you sit there and you realize that he didn't have all the technology of the shoes and the gloves and the bats and the trainers and things like that. Back then, they trained themselves. I read a story about Ty that during the winter he would go hunting, and in his boots he would put weights because he considered that training.
Yes.
To keep his legs in shape during the winter.
And just as a side note, we have it as a display in the museum, the cleat that he wore in that last game that he played. And it was bronze for preservation purposes, but we do have that in a display case here in the museum.
And I'll agree with David. This is kind of cool. So we're talking almost 100 years, and he's still a household name.
Right.
We're still talking about him. And it makes me kind of smile from when we talked about a few moments ago, the greatest man he knew was his dad. So it kind of makes me smile because somehow I think his dad is proud. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, and I also tell people that visit the museum, the silver lining is that even though Ty did not become a doctor or a lawyer like his father wanted him to, his son, Ty Jr., became a doctor, and then he has a grandson in California that's an attorney. So he has those things in his lineage.
That's so cool. I did not know that. That's really cool. Okay, so he stole home 54 times. I tend not to see people steal home so much anymore.
Well, it happened just a couple of weeks ago in Major League Baseball, but they said previously it hadn't happened since 2016.
Wow.
So you think about that, and Ty did it 54 times. He actually stole home 55 times, but one time was in postseason play. It was 54 times in regular season play.
So how many? So he has 2 sons living, or how many children does he have?
No, none of his children are living anymore. He had a total of 5 children. They are all deceased, but he has one daughter-in-law that is still alive. She was married to his youngest son, James. She lives in California. And so we still hear from her regularly.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
And we talked about this earlier. This was for the Hall of Fame nomination. And everybody's card is kind of wonky. I wonder why. For the Hall of Fame, he received more votes than Babe Ruth for his entry in.
And also in the museum, we have a trophy where in 1941, Ty and Babe Ruth played a charity golf tournament, and Ty beat Babe. And so we have that trophy here.
Oh, that's funny. They knew each other.
They did. Their careers overlapped. Now Ty was older than Babe, and so that was another reason why the trophy is so funny, because Babe said, "Well, Ty's a lot older than me. I'm sure that I will win, and I'm sure that I will beat him." But it actually went the opposite direction.
That's funny.
Mhm.
And let's see, Ty is one of the first players that hit over 400 in 3 seasons. I just can't even imagine hitting 400. I think that was probably a question going up, but we'll see. Royston, Georgia. So this is where the museum is located, and this is where Ty considers his hometown. As Leah mentioned, he was actually born in Narrows, Georgia, just over the line a little bit. But Royston, Georgia is a neat little town, and the town nearby, which is maybe a mile or two from the museum, has a small university, private university as well. The reason why I know Royston is because there's also a state park, and if you know me, you know that we go camping a lot. But also, if you know me, you know that my boys, my son and husband, love to go golf. And the state park also has a 3D archery, so we're constantly there. And for the first time, my father-in-law went camping with us last year, and he pretty much said, "We are going to this museum. I want to see it," and we did. So that's kind of how we have there. Okay, I think I understand what everybody's having issues with. I try to call the name and also the stat. And thank you, Irish John, for helping me out. And you're right, I have the cheat sheet. So Royston, Georgia is where the museum is, and also where he considered home as well. Okay, let me keep going. Cleat spikes. And Leah, I'm going to have you explain this to me so I don't get it wrong. Why is he known for this?
Well, it was widely believed that he would intentionally spike players with his cleats, and that he would actually sharpen them. But that actually was just one of the myths surrounding Ty. Yes, he was very aggressive on the base path, but even one of the most famous photographs that was taken of Ty is of him sliding in, and there's even a statue here in front of our local library that used to be at the Brave Stadium with that very pose, and so the guy that was on base as Ty was coming around even said, "It was my fault. I was in the way." So anyway, and his bat boy also refuted that myth that had been circulated that he sharpened his spikes. He said no, that did not happen. So that's why the cleats and the spikes, and a lot of people have even said, Ty would come in spikes high. So that's why. But Ty also had a lot of scars on his legs where he also came in contact with other people's spikes.
That's what I was going to say. This isn't just an exclusive Ty Cobb thing.
Right, exactly. And in fact, he even wrote to the commissioner to see if there was a way that they could dull the spikes in order to avoid injuries that were occurring because of them.
But I think just because he was an aggressive player, also he was a really good player. Sometimes they point out, hey, he's cheating, or hey, he's doing this, or hey, he's that. That wasn't the case.
Right.
Okay, home runs. So you should see the word home runs on your bingo card. And let me look at my cheat sheet. Oh, 118 home runs in his career.
And that seems low if you compare it to today. And that was primarily because he played in what was known as the dead ball era. So if he were playing with the baseball that they play with today, that number would be significantly higher.
I think so. I think it would be.
Absolutely.
Okay, career stolen bases. So he has 892 career stolen bases. Let me give everybody a chance to catch up on bingo. That is a lot. I mean, I always get nervous when I see it done. I only, like last night, I saw it once. It ended up working out, but that always makes me nervous. And I think it's not only a talent, it's a skill.
Yes.
Okay. Or is everybody catching up then on the bingo? We had some confusion. This is called bingo trivia. So what I call out, I try to call out the trivia, the answer, the question and the answer kind of as we go through. And my apologies, Joku. This is a new feature of our bingo program that we use, and it should usually show what's on the screen, should be on your card, but I guess what it's doing is showing the stat that's kind of behind what's on the screen. So let me give you a recap just real quick for everybody. Royston, Georgia was called. That's a place that Ty considers his hometown. Cleat Spikes was called. That was a controversy that Ty was wrapped up in. And September 11th, 1928. That was the last game he played, the date of the last game he played. And 54 times he stole home. And 892 career stolen bases. And for 23 consecutive seasons, he has at least 323 seasons. I'm missing, I think, one more. He had 118 home runs. I think this is the last one to catch everybody up. He had 1,961 runs batted in, which is called RBIs. Okay, that should catch everybody up. And let's go ahead and continue his career batting average. This is just crazy. This is unheard of. So his career batting average was .367.
Right. And as we previously mentioned, we're almost 100 years past his playing days, and that stat has not even been close to being touched.
Joe, the greatest man he knew, that's also correct. Sorry, that one's correct
Right.
too. So when we're talking about .367, just to give you guys an idea, I want to say last night at the Braves minor league team, the Stripers that are in Georgia, I want to say one of the highest was .237 or something.
275.
Or 275 was the highest, but the average, was around .23 something. And Ty did .367 as his
Right.
career batting
Right.
average. The other thing that my husband was explaining too, that's kind of, if you're into statistics and math, which he likes, so if you're at bat 10 times, you've got to hit it, 3 to 4 times to get this type of average. So yes, if you see 3.367, go ahead and click that on your card. Okay, let's keep going. So he batted .4 3 seasons in 3 different seasons. So for you guys on your card, you'll see .400, .400 with the number 3 in X, and it looks like we have a bingo. So let's just double check that as well. So just to let you know, I think .400, you're not gonna really see this around as much either. I think everybody has it. Sorry guys for the frustration. It looks like we have a bingo, but I'm gonna go through a couple more stats real quick. So Lamella, hold on 1 second and I'll tell you how to claim your prize. So let's finish out some of the questions. So he did play for the Detroit Tigers for most of his career, right?
Right.
And then we talked about he was an early investor in Coca-Cola. And let's see, more votes than Babe Ruth in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
His career at bats, so it went to bat 11,429 times. This man loved baseball. It was part of his DNA. He really loved baseball.
Right.
Oh, and you mentioned that he was a pitcher. He pitched in 3 games. You don't see that today. You would not switch around like that. You would not see a pitcher, or center field pitcher. And then we talked about money as well. So in 1928, the last year that he played, he was with at the time called Philly Athletics, excuse me, and it was $35,000 in 1928, which was a really good amount. So it's kind of interesting. And I want to say he started his rookie career in 1905 with something like 1,200 a year.
Right.
So, I mean, and then the way he ended up investing and became a millionaire, multimillionaire is pretty cool. Okay.
Right.
So, let me show our winner. What you're going to do to take your prize is email Awen at wikitree.com. Tell her that you won the bingo at the Ty Cobb bingo, and she will get you the information for the store and what to look at to buy. There's a whole bunch of different things. They're WikiTree branded items, and they're really cool and they're really awesome. And I think Awen was saying that they're now the 15-year anniversary t-shirts coming up as well. Okay, so what do most people ask you when they come to your museum?
Well, we do have some people that don't know a lot about Ty. They are just baseball fans. So, we get asked a variety of things. And most of them are, was he from here? Did he grow up here? Why is the museum here? And then most people don't know, about the philanthropy that he did through the hospital, the Education Foundation. We do have some people that come in and maybe they've only seen the movie, which was based on a book that was very, very much incorrect. And so they have that idea that he was, just a mean, horrible guy. And then, we feel like the museum speaks for itself. So they go through the museum, and when they circle back around, their minds have been totally changed. They said, wow, we had no idea of the good things and the great things that he did for his community and how he gave back. So, we get asked just a variety of things.
I think that's something important to point out too, that this is something David mentioned at the beginning, and I know that a lot of my guests mentioned that come on to this bingo, and I know that I mentioned it as well, that we're about accuracy. So if you're going to create a biography of somebody for WikiTree, probably going to a Hollywood movie would be the last place that you would
Absolutely.
want to
Right.
even think about. So keep that in mind, because I do know that movie. And I remember when it came out, I knew a little bit about Ty Cobb, but it was like, no, this is still kind of wrong. I
Right.
want to point out, I dropped the link. This is his WikiTree page. It's wonderfully done. I would like to say I had a lot of help with it, but I didn't. I only added some pictures, and this is one of the pictures that I did add. This is his mausoleum is actually in Royston, not too far from the museum, kind of
Right.
around.
Maybe a mile.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
I have a burning question that I have been wondering about for years, and I know you can answer it. Every time I go to Royston, there is always a really nice reef. It's seasonal. If it's around Christmas, there would be something seasonal there. And it's always very well kept up with that. Is that the museum doing that?
Well, a lot of times, if no one else does it, the museum does. But the um, the city actually, does the maintenance
Mhm.
as far as like mowing and that type of thing. But as far as the flowers, there's a couple of his granddaughters that take turns uh, getting flowers, like around his around Christmas time, around his the anniversary of his death, which will be coming up in the next week or so. And but that particular one that's in the picture that you have there, actually, one of our former employees of the museum did that one.
Oh, that's really nice.
Hmm.
And the other thing that I want to mention to people is as a genealogist, and a lot of us belong to the Simmertus project on WikiTree, so you guys won't think too weird of me going on vacation and stopping by a cemetery now and then. But we do. You can drive right up to here, so
Yeah,
you don't
right up to it. Hmm.
not a really big walk or anything. It is a beautiful cemetery. One section of it is just so old, and it is just really nice just to walk through near train tracks. It's just really a nice cemetery. But we do. We When we go to Royston on vacation, we drive through and we look at it. And the thing that really hits me hard at my heart are people leaving baseballs with notes on them.
Right.
And those are just random people like me that would go there and leave this memorabilia, just something there as a thank you. Is that what's going on?
Well, also, we collect those things and
Oh,
bring them back to the museum, the things that are left
yeah.
there. So that way they're preserved and they're not out in the weather. But there's been bats, hats, notes, just all kinds of things that have been left there at the gravesite.
And you can see sort of in this picture, if you go to the website, you can obviously see it clearer. But if you look at the bottom of the brown doors to the left and right, there are two little round or two little dots. Those are baseballs. And the one on the left, I think this picture must be about 2 years old at least, but the one on the left gave such great detail about what Ty Cobb meant to the person that left that baseball, that I
Right,
was really amazed and touched by it. That even still, we're talking about how this individual named Ty Cobb, from this area in Georgia, not Atlanta, nowhere near Atlanta. We're talking about on the outskirts here, Northeast Georgia. This player meant something.
right, right.
And I just want to point out that you will not see this marker in Georgia. This is actually in Alabama, Anniston, Alabama. Okay, and we talked about the baseball glove, and there's the signature. This actually came from a torn museum, and you will
Yeah,
get to see it as well as the cleat. Well, I gotta tell you, I appreciate you coming on. I gave Leah very little notice. I think about 3 weeks ago, asked her to come on because we had an inkling that we were going to announce this big project with WikiTree. and we knew we were starting with baseball. And like I said, being from Georgia, Ty Cobb was just the only one in my mind that we could do. We have a lot of really good and famous baseball players in Georgia from the
Right.
Braves. We do. But we wanted to celebrate Ty Cobb because I think that your museum just does an excellent job of it, as well as seeing the town embraces. You
Right.
mentioned the
Right.
statue in front of the library is really awesome. It's a
Yes,
great
it is.
statue. Go to his mausoleum at the cemetery and see it. And if you are going traveling this summer, look up, if you're a sports fan, especially, look up and see along your way the towns that you may be stopping halfway, or town you're stopping at for vacation. Maybe there's a nearby town. Visit these smaller museums. They are a gem. They are just really a treasure to see. And you get to meet people like Leah who has this information, and you can talk back and forth and maybe find out something that you didn't know about the particular sports person, and be a fan. You know, I
Right.
always like to tell people COVID's over. Let's get out and about, and let's come back and support these types of organizations that are there. And even if you don't like a particular sport, you'd be amazed. As a genealogist, you'll still find something to be amazed at. And I will tell you, at this particular museum, if you walk into it and you're not amazed by that row of bats, Leah's just showing you probably maybe an eighth of what those
Right.
bats are. It is an impressive display. And then as soon as you turn to your right, you're going to see Ty's parents right there. And yeah, I think you've done a great job with museum. I can't thank you enough for joining us
Mhm.
for bingo at WikiTree and
Absolutely.
helping us launch our big sports notable.
Right. And if you find yourself near Royston, Georgia, we're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 3, and on Saturdays from 10 to 2. We're closed on Sundays. You can give us a call if you have any questions. And hopefully within the next day or two, our website will be fully functioning again. And our store is online, if you wanted to order merchandise. So definitely make plans to stop by if you're in our area.
Definitely do. Royston is just a cool little town. The nice
Yeah.
restaurants that you have there too.
Yeah.
I of course I'm addicted to one of the grocery store's lunch buffets that
Right,
they
right.
have there. So it's quaint. I've never had anybody look at me as an outsider or weird or anything like that. I've always got, hi, how are you? So it's a very small town that has very big heart and
Right.
baseball. So thanks again, Leah. Thanks
All right.
everybody
You're
for
very welcome.
us. I appreciate everybody's patience with that second bingo card, but hopefully you learned a few stats about Ty along the way. And we will see you later tonight for another bingo. And we'll see if we can get Leah back again as we get our baseball up and going and have a little bit more baseball centric event too. Thanks, guys. Everybody have a good day.
Bye-bye.